Hey, Chef Lionel. Hey, Marco. Welcome in. So, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Tara, and I'm a professor focusing on Hillman Taught classes in this particular live. So, the other one that I just closed out was Journaling Through Mental Health and Wellness. And this one is Self-Care Exploration Using Children's Books. So, let's talk a little bit about children's books. I'm going to talk to y'all about Rudine Sims Bishop. Rudine Sims Bishop is a person who created the concept of windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. Windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. Why are those important? Because they all give us some semblance of understanding when it comes to children's books and what makes a good children's book. Hey, Jerry Bear, welcome in. Hello there. Hello there. Thank you for the heart me. I sure appreciate it. You just reached level 15 too, by the way. So that's amazing. So Rudine Sims Bishop created the concept of windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. So when we're looking at children's books, if we're looking at a window for children's books, we're looking into somebody else's life. Hey, Taylor Hall. We're looking into somebody else's life. So if I looked into my neighbor's window, I'm learning what they do, how they live their life. I'm being a little nosy. We've all had those nosy neighbors. Maybe it's you. We understand looking through a window, right? What about a mirror, though? A mirror, is that helpful for us? Absolutely. We want to see ourselves. Even if we don't like the way we look that day, we know it's us. We're familiar with our faces. One of the things remember, I'm a therapist. One of the things that we do with babies really early is we show them mirrors. And then they get to learn, this is me. They get to learn that reflection is me. So they do things to see if it works. If I do something, will that reflection do something? There's so much pride that gets built up when you see yourself. You understand? And then there's a concept from Dr. Rudine that's a sliding glass door. Y'all ever play with those? Those sliding glass doors at the grocery store when you're younger? Hospital, grocery store, hotel. You walk, the door opens. You walk, the door closes. It's like magic. That makes a child's heart smile. So let's discuss. Hey, Miss Naya, welcome in. Let's discuss windows. A window's looking into someone else's life. So if you're looking at a window in a children's book, you're learning about somebody else's experience. So I showed this book last week. This is A Loss for Words. This book would be a window for me. This would be me learning about somebody else's experience, okay? It's because it's about a family that has deafness in their family. I don't have deafness in my family. The main character is essentially interpreting for everybody, and she's a young person. That's not my experience. But I do get a window into somebody's life that's like that if I look into it. Is that important? I think it is. I think windows are important. So that is a window, okay? That is a window. Let me show you. Oh, this one. This one's also a window. Freckle-faced strawberry. I don't have freckles. I don't look like her. That is a window, okay? So when we look at representation and a mirror, here's Jerry. Jerry changed the game. Jerry Lawson. Well, this guy created a lot of stuff. He created some of the video game systems. Well, I'm not a man, but my skin and his skin look similar, and I've played some games before. I see representation here, which is that mirror. When we can see ourselves in books, especially as children, we can grow, right? It's good to understand other people's experience, yes, but it's also good to see ourselves in books. It's good to see ourselves in books, to see our own stories being told, to see our own experiences being uplifted. That can feel like self-care. That can feel like something that you can relate to. This is my Good Grief Guide. It's a book that I created. I wrote this book. Thank you so much for all the likes. I appreciate those. I created this book after my dad died. It's 100 Ways to Cope with Grief When You're Not a Grown-Up. Why did I write this book? I wanted young people to have some self-care. This book has 100 plus reasons, but I wanted it to represent kids. So I didn't want it to be boring. So there's some journal entries. There's some graphic novel-esque things in there from my hubstrator. I wanted it to be a fun book during one of the worst times of a child's life. I didn't write this book just because my dad died. I shouldn't say that word. I think I can get in trouble for that. Just because my dad is no longer living. I wrote this book because when I was in the 5th grade, my grandmother no longer was living. And for me, nobody knew how to help me. No one gave me a children's book and said, here's some care for you. Here's a way to help you feel better. I did go talk to my librarian and she was very helpful, but most of the people around me could not help me. And I remember how lonely and how sad I felt. And as a mental health therapist, I now go into a lot of grief centers and help young kids as young as 4 with loss that's so hard to deal with, right? But as a grown up who's an author of children's books and who's a mental health therapist, I'm not going to sit on my bottom and not do anything extra about it. So I'm going to provide, oh, thank you, Crystal. I'm going to provide self-care resources to people who need books like this. So this is my Good Grief Guide, and it's a book that helps. It is a children's book, but it's helpful for all ages. Whenever you're writing a book, especially a children's book, it needs to be good for the kid, but it also needs to be good for the grown-up because we still have a child inside of us. Y'all understand that? That little girl that I was in 5th grade, listen, y'all, she's still here. And the little person that you were when you were in 5th grade, they're still there. You're still nurturing every section of your life in some way, shape, or form. My friend Brittany just popped in. Let me tell you how much fun Brittany has. Brittany is always doing fun stuff. Her inner child is lit. Her inner child dances well, eats well, entertains herself, hangs out with her friends. My friend Brittany, who just popped in, listen, she is loving her life. And that is why we should not let recess go away. So when we think about self-care, think about it as recess. I know they take it away from us when we get to middle school, but we don't take it away from us. We don't have to. We can find it in a children's book that relates to us. Remember, windows, looking into someone else's experience. What happens when I look into someone else's experience? Well, I get educated. I learn more about their experience. I can gain empathy for somebody who may not be exactly like I am. The book that I showed y'all, for loss of words, here it is, A Loss for Words. I got this book when I was in undergrad. My professor was deaf and she refused to write notes back and forth with me. She's like, you need to learn about my experience. And I had to. And it was even hard for me to understand her telling me that because she had to do it with her hands. You understand what I'm saying? So that was my window. But at the same time, I think it's also important for people who don't look like me to also care about my experience, right? So I've shared about my grief experience, which can be very universal. This experience can be a window for some. It can be a mirror for others. What is a sliding glass door, though? Because we did talk about that. The sliding glass door. That's where the magic of children's books come alive, because children's books do have an element of magic to them, don't they? Children's books have the element of things that we can't do in real life. I mean, Miles Morales is up here like throwing webs and jumping and leaping off buildings. We can't do that, but he does something to us when he does that. It makes us feel encouraged when we see him defeat the enemy or defeat the villain. It helps us to realize that we can defeat the villains in our lives. So identify. When it comes to self-care, what do you need to defeat in your life? What children's book can empower you to defeat the villains in your life? The villains don't have to just be people. This is Tristan Strong. Punches a Hole in the Sky. Y'all, this is a cute book. It's very good. Look, Kwame might not appreciate, I know the author, he might not appreciate me calling his book cute, but it's very, very good. It's very, very good because there's toxic energy out there. How can you fight toxic stress? Toxic stress might be your villain. I'm doing a lot of work right now with adverse childhood experiences. That's anything that we go through prior to 18 years old that can put us in a really problematic place in our lives, even as an adult. It can make us more high risk for things like stroke and cancer and diabetes and so many other things, so many immune disorders, etc. But how can we heal? How can we feed ourselves? How can we take care of ourselves? By finding the book that relates to us. There's a lot of children's books out there where we can see ourselves, where we can understand other people's experience, and where we can let the magic come alive. So finding a book that relates to you, finding a book that feeds you, that gives you what you need, that encourages you is really, really important. I want to show y'all. This is the first book I ever wrote. It's called Who I Am, Not What I Am. all the books that I'm showing you that I wrote, you can buy. So let me know if you want a signed copy or if you want to get it from Barnes & Noble or something like that. But this is who I am, not what I am. This is the first book I ever wrote. And that's Janelle, the main character. And Janelle had some things to go through. She had some hills to climb. She had to work through some things because people were basically telling her that she did not belong. And if you've ever felt that way before, then you can relate to this book. And it is a message in the end that helps you to feel like you absolutely do belong. And I think that's one of the things that stands out with representation. If I see a book with somebody on the cover that looks like me, or the words help me to relate to an experience, that sometimes fills me up in a way that is hard to replicate. I have a friend, and she told me that her son didn't feel good about who he was anymore as a young Black boy, because he was surrounded with people that didn't look like him, and he thought maybe their lives were better. So I told her to grab a book, and I want to show you the book if I can find it. I've got so many books in front of me. Here it is. I suggested to her this book. Here's a little one. This book right here. Hey, Tori. Hey, you, an empowering celebration of growing up Black. He was in elementary, right? So it is a younger book. But she told me that when she read this book, it didn't just empower him. It empowered her too. Sometimes we have to lift ourselves up through children's lit, right? This is what it looks like. Love your beautiful skin. You are wonderful. Be curious. Are those affirmations? Renee is so cute. I'll hold it up if y'all want to screenshot it. I didn't write this one, but it's adorable. And I definitely suggested it to her because I wanted him to feel empowered. I wanted him to feel good about who he is. And like I said, she felt like, oh my goodness, there's things in here that help me too. It's beautiful. Look at some of the illustrations. When you're picking up a children's book, you're taking in art. You screenshot it? Yeah. You're taking in art. You're taking in experiences. When you look at another person's art, it's like you're there with them. Yes, Tori. This young person in this book has vitiligo. Do you think that's helpful for representation for somebody? Renee says, I need this today. Yeah, get it. This person has vitiligo. I have family members with vitiligo. I have friends with vitiligo. But do you see a lot of children's books with kids or people with vitiligo? You don't, but this book has that. This book has that. And when we see ourselves in a book, what does that tell us? You're human. You're real. I see you. You're important. I'm writing to you. Writing is what love letters are all about. When we see ourselves getting awards, when we see ourselves in books being represented, something really special happens. Yes? Whether you're that deaf family that finds a loss for words, or that family that feels like, I need something for my son, and then you find out you needed it for you too. Tori says, I need to dig through my old preschool box. I know I have some books somewhere. Dig through that preschool box, Tori. Let me know what you find. Representation matters, y'all. We learn so much. We learn so much. By looking backwards, our word of the day is reflect. You understand? But remember, it's more than just one thing. Falcon, thank you for the cheer me ups. That means so much to me. Your gifts make a difference. And look at all of this. I told my son today I need him to find, it's Black History Month. I told him I need him to find a Black artist. He was like, I don't know any Black artists. And he's thinking about paint or sculpting or something. So you got to find one. Because they're out there. But how do we celebrate each other, right? You are a hero, right? That's so, so important. So look into it. Falcon, thank you for the cheer me up. I appreciate that. What else? How else can we find representation in a children's book? This book is written by Jacqueline Woodson. She's incredible. I got to meet her at a children's book conference in 2010. She's doing amazing work. Absolutely amazing work. But her books deal with kindness. Her books deal with so many aspects of being a kid, right? Her picture books actually have more realistic pictures in them. But you can look at that picture and kind of see, what's happening here? There's four young people together. But when you see a little kid that kind of looks, Do I usually see this kid in the book? I'm not sure. I know I'm a trans woman who came out late because I didn't have representation. Yes, representation. A kid walking home alone, right, Renee? Those illustrations are fantastic. Yes, I think so too. And then we see the empty seat. I'm not going to read this book to y'all, but I would definitely suggest you look into it. I would suggest you get it for yourself. It's from Jacqueline Woodson. She's amazing. I would suggest you get it for yourself. When you see that empty seat, what do you see? And can you relate the texture? Yeah. Can you relate to feeling like you have that empty seat? Renee says, I feel that. I feel that. This is the author and illustrator right here. Now, Jacqueline made sure that there was many people represented in her books, but Jacqueline is the author. Okay? E.B. Lewis is the illustrator. That's representation. So if I'm a kid and I'm reading this book and I feel really good about it, and then I scroll back, and then y'all, my kid reads so many books. Why couldn't he think about a black artist? Because guess what? He's going to hear me and cheat now, but E.B. Lewis is a black artist. It was a trick question, y'all. Illustrators are artists. You see how many books are in my house? There's more than what you see here. This is our library. Why couldn't he think of that? It made me a little sad. Markeisha, thank you for tapping. Here's one. But when we see that, it empowers us, doesn't it? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Here's one that really stood out to me. So beautiful. I did a book signing in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I got this book at the end of it. The bookstore owner suggested it to me. What do you see when you see this? If you've ever been somebody who hasn't fit into a size 2, or maybe you are a size 2 and maybe you've been ridiculed about that. If you've ever been talked about because of your size, this book might be for you. This book might give you self-care. Because when somebody's talking about you because of your size, they're literally saying you don't fit. But you belong. But you belong, right? They're saying you don't fit. Look at this illustration. Have you ever felt like that in a line of people? Where everybody looks a certain way and you just don't fit. You're not like everybody else. That's okay if you're not. I'm not like everybody else either. How about getting reprimanded because of the way that you look? You understand? And for those of you who are also in my journaling class, this is so much material for y'all to journal about. This is my favorite part of the book, so I am giving spoilers. I'm going to give some spoilers. I'm going to give you my favorite parts of the book. Words are empowering. We talked about that in the journaling class. These don't go away when you're grown. That's right. Words are empowering. These are all the mean words that were thrown at this young lady. All the mean words. I want you to think about your life. Have you seen mean words thrown at you? It's okay. The self-care is coming, y'all. So she's crying out those words. She's laying in a puddle of these words. Y'all see that? She's laying in a puddle of these words. You understand? She looks closer at them and reads them. Tori, it's intense, okay? She's looking at them. I love this book. It has a fold out, y'all. It's so beautiful. All those words are there. And then guess what she does? Renee says, I felt that. Guess what she does? This is what my play cousin does. She picks up those words and she says to those people that gave her those words, these are yours. They hurt me. Take that in. This is her with the words in her hands. These are yours. They hurt me. You don't have to accept, Tori, you don't have to accept those words. They don't belong to you. Give them back. Now they can hold on to them. They can sit in that. Has anyone ever said something to you mean and then you call it out and they're like, oh, that's not what I meant, but that's what you said. Good lesson for social media. Absolutely. Not everyone understood or even listened. This person said, it's just a joke. This person said, it's not that serious. This person says, you're too sensitive. This person says, I didn't mean to hurt you. And now she's wiping up the area because she's cleaning her slate. And sometimes we have to do that. Social media can harm us. Absolutely, Falcon. Absolutely. But here's the thing to think about too, right? Here's the thing to think about. I want you to be clear on this. We can clean our slate. We get to decide who we spend our time with. You are valuable. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But words are too. So if somebody's coming to you with words that don't fit you, that don't build you up, that don't represent you, you don't have to take those in. But in children's books, we see feelings words. We see all kinds of encouraging things. We see nice things that can help us to feel better about who we are. You understand what I'm saying? Falcon, thank you for being entitled Gift of the Roses. I appreciate you. I appreciate those roses. Thank you, Falcon. Thank you, Renee. And this person says, I can help you change if you want. And she says, no, thank you. I like the way I am. You don't have to shift yourself to fit into spaces that don't want you around. You understand? That is self-care. This book is called Big. I suggest you get it. Yes, it's a children's book, but did that not fill you up? Yes, it's a children's book, but do you see how self-care can come from that? Okay, so I think Tori said that you're going to look through some of your preschool books tonight. Here's some homework for all of y'all that have children's books in your house. Tori says, so filled. Yes. Look through your books tonight. Here's what I'm going to ask y'all to do. Hi, Kenny. Look through your books tonight and look for the feeling words, because we did feeling words in our journal class. Look for the feeling words in children's books. There's always going to be some feeling words in there, okay? Look for them. Look for them. The reason why I paired these two classes together is because I think they pair together really nicely. I think that you can look at a book like this and you can journal for days. I think you can look at a book like this and you can journal for days, and it's going to help your mental health, and it's going to help your self-care, and it's going to help your wellness. But it's also going to relate to you. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, Tori. Falcus is taking notes. I appreciate you. And thank you for the gifts too. It means so much to me. The structure is different here. So any gift you give really does go a long way. So thank you for that gift. But this book is called Big. It is a beautiful book. It is a beautiful representation. You understand? This is my newest one behind me. It's called I Am Not My Meltdown. Now, if y'all scroll through my content, you might see a little boy that looks something like this, because representation is important. But what's behind him? Is that him? Y'all, when you feel like you're having a meltdown, sometimes you feel like something dark and scary and large is invading you. And children are no different. I am not my meltdown. You understand? So this book, you understand? Sugar and spice is not a good representation of me. Sometimes I can get really angry. I can jump, pounce, bellow, and shout. Have we done that before? Absolutely. Every now and then I dance it out. I can smile and play. You understand? You're not just your meltdown, but sometimes I don't want the day to go away. Wait for it. And when it does, y'all see this? I think he's getting upset. He's kind of folding into himself. What happens next? Wait for it. Have y'all felt that in your spirit? Have you felt that in your spirit, grown people? The meltdown. We've all had that. And this book deals with that. And it gives coping skills. You said yes, Falcon. Markeisha says yes. Tori says everybody be babies again at this point. Yes. Yes. We can relate to this. But what about this book? We started off with talking about what element every good children's book has. At least one of these. Windows, a mirror, a sliding glass door. It is different for everybody because they're not exactly the same. A window is looking into somebody else's life, right? A mirror is seeing yourself represented. A sliding glass door is where the magic of children's books happen. We're not seeing people walk around like this. This is the magic of children's books, right? We don't see people walking around looking like this, but in a children's book, you could be Miles Morales. You could stand on your head. You can have this little guy coming out to make the story make sense. And the reason why we use sliding glass doors, and again, this is Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop's, not mine, but the reason why we use the sliding glass door is because remember when you're that little kid and you're like, I just made this door open. I made it close. I made it open. And people are like, go, whose kid is this? Somebody get their child. But you made that door open. You create the sliding glass door. You create the magic in your life. I love the term Black girl magic because I like to think of myself as magical. You understand? I want to create the whimsy. I feel like self-care is the whimsy. I'm a grown woman who wears glitter eyeshadow and pink earrings. And I have all the colors of the rainbow in my hair because I am magical. I create the whimsy. You understand? And you don't have to be like me because I don't want you to. I want you to be like you because the self-care, I want you to hear this. The self-care that you can find in children's books is the acceptance and the uplifting of who you truly are. So if you see a children's book with somebody with a disability, a children's book with somebody with I don't know, like the ability to fly. If you see a children's book with all of these fantastic things, what are we doing that guy? Are you spamming me? That's not cool. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. Somebody nasty's coming in here messing up our class. You know, it's not a long class. So sorry about that. I hate that. But that's something to consider and think about. Okay. You can create your own world. If you're somebody who was told you talk too much, how is your talking so much valuable? One of my friends, Carrie, she's actually one of my children's book colleagues. She made this book, Real Princesses Change the World. And she wanted to make sure that you saw a lot of different real life princesses. So this isn't Disney. These are real life princesses. And she wanted to make sure that everybody could see a princess in themselves. Now that's a window, that's representation, but it's real. The sliding glass door that you see is the real magic going on in the world. You understand? Real Princesses Change the World. She created that book. You understand? I want to show you some more that I find. Oh, I love this one. The Wind May Blow. This one talks about when hard things happen. But can I just look at how beautiful this book is? And what you see is real. Yes, you see that shine. This book is beautiful because sometimes the wind does blow. Is there ever a benefit of wind? Sometimes not. But it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And I can't read it to you because I don't have enough time. It's 1:00. But I encourage y'all so much. I'm going to be putting out a few different children's book, how to build up your children's book library content videos. Definitely repost those, share them. I don't get a lot of people in my classes, y'all. And I have to be honest with you. It makes me wonder if I'm doing the right thing. I love the concept of Hillman Talk. I am a real professor. I run a private practice. I'm a TED speaker. So when I get less people in these classes than I do in my regular live stream, it just makes me wonder, like, do people really want this? So if you like this free content, please share it with people. Because Falcon, thank you for the roses. Because I'm going to keep it all 100 real for you. Having 3 to 5 people in class, eek, that feels some kind of way. I want to be so authentic with y'all. Because I work really hard on these, right? I create a syllabus. Markeisha says, my local library has a 25-cent sale cart for books. Then you need to get to your local library. That's a big point, though. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Those library sales are great. Sometimes they give you a bag and you can fill them up with children's books. Absolutely. Thank you, Falcon, for the roses. And thank you for saying fantastic class, Professor Tara. I appreciate it. You're friends with the librarian. That's good. So if y'all like what I offer here, definitely share it. Next week is going to be office hours. So we're going to do like an office hour class. Your homework for next week for both classes is to journal the exercises I gave you. If you were in the first class, I gave you some good homework. And for this one, find those children's books with the words feeling in them and relate to how they bring you self-care. Be prepared next week in office hours to tell me. So next week is a bye week. It's going to be an office hour class, and it'll be on Tuesday night as opposed to our noon time. But please come prepared. Please take a look at the content. And if you like what I do, please encourage me and help me to know, because I'm like, maybe this, I don't know. I appreciate Markeisha and Tori and Falcon. I really do. I just want to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, because time is so short and I want to always use my time in the best way possible. All right, y'all. Love you dearly. Make sure you set your notification bells for when I go live again. Take care of yourselves and be well.